Hey guys, right now we're going to look at an example of a CER, of how to write one. Okay, so we're going to pick a topical claim here. So we're going to go with C. Why don't I lower this just a bit, right? Lower the camera just a bit. There we go. Okay, so C. We're going to split our CER into three sections, remember. C, we're going to say, why don't we write CER example? Title it that in your notebook. And write down everything I write down in your notes. So we're going to say wearing masks helps keep people safe from the coronavirus, otherwise known as COVID-19. So it seems to be a claim that is made a lot right now. But where's the evidence? You might read it in the news or wherever you get your news from, probably Instagram or something like that. There's some good people on Instagram. That's not that bad, that you should wear a mask, or maybe some people are making the opposite claim that it doesn't do anything. Certainly a hot topic, right? With some people. And so what's the evidence? I think that in science it is always important that you ask, what is the evidence? And anywhere in life, you don't want to be wearing you don't want to have to wear a mask everywhere unless you really believe it's helpful. So you should ask for the evidence, when somebody says that. You should say, okay, that sounds good. Can you show me what measurements have been made, right? I think that's a smart thing to do, So what I did is I printed out, and you could agree with me or disagree with my evidence, but you could discuss it later if you want. But this is some evidence. It's a graph, right? And your job in your evidence section is to talk about a data table or a graph. Do you see any trends with the numbers? So what they did with this graph is it has the days since coronavirus first appeared, and 0, 5 days, 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, 25 days since it first appeared in a country. And then on the y-axis, it says how many cases do they have in that country. Is there only 100 cases, 200? They kind of have a logarithmic scale here. It doesn't go up evenly. 500, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. And then they choose a bunch of countries that did not wear masks for the first 2 weeks that the coronavirus was around, all right? That bunch of countries, Brazil, Canada, Portugal, Denmark, Austria, Netherlands, UK, US, Spain, Germany, France, Iran, Italy, China. So if you compare those to countries that have what it says here under Japan, that certain countries like Japan have strong social norms already in place, that they do wear masks whenever they go out. So when the coronavirus happened, they were already wearing masks anyway. So they present a good data set for us to compare against, all right? So there are certain countries like that, South Korea, Japan, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So what they found with those 4 countries is they already wore masks all the time when they were going out. That's really the only thing they did differently, all right? So these countries are a good data set to compare against. So, maybe, you could say, oh, there's other factors too besides the masks, and that's a good argument. But then you could write your own CER, but I'm going to write my CER that wearing masks make it more safe, right? As my children yell at each other upstairs. It's okay. This is what quarantine's all about. So I'm going to say countries, and copy this down as I do, countries like South Korea, Japan, Singapore, and Hong Kong wore masks regularly when the pandemic first started. Remember, the E, you're not gonna make a list of numbers in the E section. You're gonna write a paragraph about the trend in the numbers. Okay. So we're gonna say, so the increase in cases in these countries was less severe due to the masks. We would say their trend lines do not show a sharp increase like the US. All right, so I think that's good enough. 3 sentences, a paragraph describing the graph and how the graph backs up our claim. All right. So we should have some sort of numbers in there, though. Okay, so we should say that, and I could just start another paragraph. It'll be part of the E section. South Korea, at most, had 10,000 cases compared to the US reaching 10,000 cases in less time. Only 12 days about is when the US hit 10,000 cases here. So I'm going to write the US hit 10,000 cases in only 12 days, while South Korea kind of maxed out at 10,000 cases in that graph. All right. Okay. So you should discuss the measurements, discuss the trend in the numbers. So evidence, I'm going to say always include numbers. If at all possible, always include numbers in your evidence section. So for reasoning, we have to talk about the theory, the how and the why, okay? Remember what our claim was. We're saying why. Now we're saying what's not just the numbers which back up that masks help, but why do they help? What about masks physically? What do they do? You know, what's the theory there? So reasoning, we're going to say masks can allow smaller. This is the theory that we're going with right now as our society. Masks are going. They can allow smaller particles like oxygen through but larger ones like viruses cannot fit through the fabric. The fabric's holes. So when you wear a fabric mask, cotton or something like that, there are little holes between the strands of fabric, no matter how tightly it's done, and masks can allow smaller particles through those holes, but if the particle's too big, it gets caught. So this is just like I'm going to get a little creative here and make an analogy. This is just like draining pasta. So, you know, the water could get through. The water's like the oxygen, but the virus is like the pieces of pasta, and they can't get through the mesh. They're too big. So that is kind of the theory with masks. And, you know, just remember, reasoning, it always comes from notebook. In our class, comes from notebook. So remember, with evidence, always include some numbers. Describe your data table. This is like the stuff you measured in class, and reasoning comes from your notebook. So E is like what you discovered in the lab, the measurements you took, and R is like straight from your notebook.